Hello, this is the third video. If you're doing the story about football and crime, like about Lily, who's the football detective, in the first video we planned the story of Lily overseeing the football stadium where the owner of the football club was planning to do something devious to the stadium. In the second video, we wrote this from using the plan, which I've removed now. Using the plan, we wrote this story, and it's the beginning of the story. So we wrote like the beginning of the story to try and draw the reader in, and we passed two of the three tests. Well, I think we did anyway. That's just my judgment. We passed two of the three tests to achieve that story, but it's not that. It's all right, but it needs a bit of work, and that's why this video 3 is all about editing. And what we're going to do is, whatever you're doing, obviously your writing will be different to this, but I'm going to show you some basic skills as to how I do editing, so that hopefully you can use those techniques to develop your writing as well. So it goes planning, we've done planning and research, we've done writing, beginning writing, and now we're going to do editing. So how do I edit? When I'm editing a piece of writing, I think about the different things I can do. So for instance, I add words, I take away words, I change words. What else do I do? I move things around. Sometimes we might not be able to do all these things, but even if we do 3 of them, we'll have done quite well. And also I'll alter the structure of sentences sometimes. That you can see that, can't you? Good. That makes sense. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to add, take away, change, move things, and alter the structure. And all we need to do is read through this and spot 5 things places where we think we could improve the writing. Can you see right to the bottom? You can. So improve the writing, and then try and apply one of those techniques, and then we'll have done a decent editing job. So, right. So what I'll do next, now I know what 5 techniques of editing I'm going to apply to it. I will try and find the bits that I don't like in this, the bits that could be improved, and there are many, because a first draft, even by someone who's supposed to be good at writing, is never good enough. Right, so I'm going to underline the bits I think we could improve, and you have a look first. In fact, I'm going to read it through again, that's what I'll do, then I'll go through it and mark up where I think it should be improved, but you spot where you think it could be improved, and believe me, it can. All Lily could see was darkness, broken up by the pale street lighting, until the car drew up next to the stadium. Even from her top floor flat, she knew whose car it was. His car. That man. This could only be bad news. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol cans from his car, she knew she had to act. Right. So, did you spot bits? There were clumsy, clunky bits. There was a bit of repetition. Car, that's the first thing I'm going to do. Car. I mean, car, oh dear. Is there any more? 4 cars. So we need other words, don't we? Or we need pronouns or whatever the correct phrase is. So I'm going to go through now and underline other bits that we could improve. I'm going to circle them, then it makes it easy for me to remember. Because repetition is good sometimes, but sometimes it gets a bit boring, and it looks like the writer's a bit lazy. If he, in the case I'm just repeating myself again and again. All Lily could see was darkness broken up by the pale street lighting. Broken up. I think you could be a lot more creative with that. Broken up isn't a good enough metaphor. We're gonna find something that's gonna feel better for that. The pale street lighting. Is it pale? Is street lighting pale? They've just put some new lights up outside my house, and they're not pale. They're quite sharp. Until the car drew up next to the stadium. The stadium. Even from her top floor flat, She, I think we need to say her name again, maybe, just to remind the reader who this is. She knew whose car it was, his car, that man. This could only be bad news. And when she saw him, do we need that? Is it too early to tell the reader that this is bad news? Do we need to tell the reader it's bad news? Don't we need to show the reader it's bad news? Maybe we could come back to that, or maybe keep it. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol cans from his car, she knew she had to act. She knew. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 changes. So we've got 5 things there. Let's try and apply some of the editing skills that I've identified here onto this and see if any of them will work. So change, I think the first one is change. So we're going to try and tick all of them. Change, we're going to change. I'm going to tick it before we've even done it because we've got to do it. Right. Darkness. So Lily could see was darkness broken up by the pale street lighting. Broken up is not good enough. So we're going to cross that out. What's a good word for it? So you got darkness. You see it. It could take me ages to think of this. I wish you could help in a way. So all Lily could see was darkness. We'll leave that. I need to think about that in my head. Right. Pale street lighting. We want to change that as well, don't we? So what did we say? They broken up by the something street lighting. Ghostly? It's not really a ghost story, is it? Broken up by, get rid of that as well. Broken up by something street lighting. Flickering. That's good, because flickering suggests danger and something is not working properly, and it suggests that the world isn't working. I like that. Right, we got there in the end. Flickering. And it's a hell of a word, isn't it? Let's be truthful. All Lily could see was darkness. Broken up. Something instead of broken up. What does flickering do? Flickering disturbs something. Disturbed. Darkness. And then disturbed and darkness creates alliteration, and that sounds quite nice. Do you see what I mean? So, all Lily could see was darkness, disturbed by flickering street lightning. It's better. It might not be perfect, but it's better than all Lily could see was darkness broken up by the pale street lighting. Or you might disagree, but I'm thinking it's better. So we've done change, we've done 2 changes. Right, what else? We need to take something away. I think we need to lose this. This could only be bad news. Let's just cut a whole sentence out and see what it's like without it. Whose car it was. She knew whose car it was. His car, that man. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol from his can, she knew she had to act. I don't think we need that. I think removing this could only be bad news is, I don't know, I think it makes it more tense when he's struggling to lift the petrol cans. You might disagree, but that's what I think. So we've taken that away. Right. We've said car 4 times until the car drew up to the stadium. His car. Hang on, we're gonna put Lily there, weren't we? Right. Lily knew instead of she knew. Then we're reminding people of her name. Lily knew whose car it was. His car. You see, I like repetition. Is sometimes powerful, and when 2 words are close to each other, saying the same word, it creates a sort of a grim beat. Like with the flickering and the grim beat of a car repetition, it creates tension, hopefully, in the sound of the language. Not actually what the words mean, but the sound and the echoes of the language. So we're going to keep those 2 cars. So we've got to get rid of the other 2 cars now. We've got to find another word for them. We have to do that. So until... How about a vehicle? It's not perfect, is it? But it's better than saying car 4 times. And this car, to lift the petrol can. So he lifts the petrol in the car, but he lifts. Which part of the car does he lift the petrol can from? From his boot. Boot. Right. So, until a vehicle drew up next to the stadium to lift the petrol cans from his boot. So we've got rid of 2 cars, and therefore it reads better. And the repetition we have done has impact because it's like it creates tension, I think, by close repetition. Right, what's next? So we haven't moved anything, have we? Do we need to move anything? Maybe not. Structure, I think it's pretty tight. We've added things, haven't we? So we can tick that off. So we've done 3 of them. Let's just see if there's anything we can, just for the sake of it, if we can move one piece of the story to another place to create a stronger impact. Right, I'm going to read it all through. All Lily could see was darkness disturbed by flickering street lighting. Instead of lighting, I want to put lights, because if you put flickering and lighting, that sounds a bit clumsy. By flickering street lights, until a vehicle drew up next to the stadium. Even from her top floor flat, Lily knew whose car it was, his car, that man. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol cans from his boot, she knew she had to act. The bit I think we could move is next to the stadium. All Lily could see, no, maybe not. I think, right, so when you're editing, you don't need to use all your tools. It's pointless using them all just for the sake of it. In this case, we have used 3 of the 5, which is pretty good. Because we've done changing about 3 things and adding about 2 things. So we've done quite a lot of work on it. Right, let's see what it sounds like. I'm going to read it how it was before, then I'll read how it is now, and we'll just see whether we pass these tests. So does what we've done to it make it feel more of an anxious read? How it was before. All Lily could see was darkness broken up by the pale street lighting, until the car drew up next to the stadium. Even from her top floor flat, she knew whose car it was, his car, that man. This could only be bad news. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol cans from his she knew she had to act. Right, now let's read it in the new version. All Lily could see was darkness disturbed by flickering streetlights, until a vehicle drew up next to the stadium. Even from her top floor flat, Lily knew whose car it was, his car, that man. And when she saw him struggle to lift the petrol cans from his boot, she knew she had to act. I think that's more tense. I think we've taken that away, which I don't know whether we should keep that. I'm half-minded to keep that in that line, but it's up to you. But I think the things that have changed that make it feel more tense to me, more anxious, are we've got a repetition of car only once, but that creates a bit of language tension. And there was another bit as well, the flickering street lights. I thought that was quite a good word. So you've got your flickering street lights and the darkness, and then the repetition of cars. So in the sounds of the words. So as well as listening to what you're saying, if you can create a sound, a bit like poetry, like you can create sounds of words to create tension, with repetitions of short, quite aggressive words like car, and flickering. It creates sort of a, hopefully it feels like it is late at night and it's all a bit on edge and scary. Anyway, that is what I would do. So when you're editing, try and think of things you can add, things you can take away when you're editing your piece, things you can change, so replacing one thing with another, moving things around. In fact, one last thing, structure as well. What if we put this could only be bad news right at the start? Should we just try that? And that, because we haven't moved things, have we? This could only be bad news. Or Maybe. I don't know. See what you think. Like, you could take a dramatic line that is wasted there and put it at the beginning to really grab the reader's attention. I don't know if you've read Stormbreaker by Anthony Horowitz, but that starts with the line, something like, "It can only be bad news when the doorbell rings at 3 o'clock in the morning," or something like that, and that really grabs your attention as a reader. Grabs your attention, and it's the same with no, that's nowhere near as good as Anthony Horowitz, but well, we tried anyway. So if you see what I mean by editing, that's the techniques you can use in editing. I hope you found that useful, and I hope you enjoy writing your story. Once you've written it and edited it, if you want to look at if you want to look at the advice about how to write on my website as well, there's some other tips on there as well if you'd like to check that out. Anyway, thank you for listening. All the best to you, and particularly all the best to you and your family during these unusual times that we're living through at the moment. I hope you have a great summer, and that things are great and for you and all your family very soon. Cheers.